Hey guys, after around 5 days of effort, we have finally got to the big bad, the final boss, Ezareth, and everyone needs to try their best to defeat him. No matter how weak you are, no matter how strong you are, we all gotta contribute and hopefully get this guy down. It has been out for maybe an hour or two, and we are not even 1% in. It's gonna take a lot. And I'm about to spend like 2 hours just doing fights. Anyways, I want to break down 5 different teams, not in super large detail. I'm only going to show 3 of them in action. But I do want to talk about a bunch of different teams, how the boss works, and hopefully give you guys some insight on how we can take this guy down. So here we have Ezareth, final boss, and in my opinion, he is the easiest one. Okay, now there are a couple things you do need to keep in mind, which I will explain when we get to them. But for the most part, this is a pretty easy fight. Very akin to like Nightmare 4, Guild Boss 1, right? Ezareth basically sits there and he lets you deal damage. Now, there's a couple things that he does. For the most part, it's like doing the Sul'Kaden's boss, but if the Sul'Kaden's boss actually hit back, Ezareth does a lot of damage to you, and you're going to need an actual healer for this one. Not only that, you may still die, especially if you do not put HP on your platform units, so keep that in mind. Basically, he does damage, and he puts vulnerability on your allies. He puts a shield on himself, and you have to break the shield or you lose. If you break the shield, he takes more damage. That's actually pretty important. But if you're just playing it normally, trying to get a high score, which is what you should be doing, you're going to break it pretty easily. Then we have a move where he opens a portal and it makes the grotesque fiends come out, and you got to kill them. All you got to do for this is you got to make sure you have at least 2 ground units total, and you just got to put them in one of these tiles and then one of these tiles, really, and you can kind of deal with it like that. You do not need to bring a ground unit. It's just one of you has to bring 1 or bring 2, you know? Like, you just need 2 total out of the 3 of you. And then if you do not deal with them, they will actually make Ezareth more tanky if they get to him. So you have to keep in mind that that is a big issue. And then we have something where he amplifies the damage. At the beginning, you won't be dying. At the end, you will. So that's basically how he works. He's just a big punching bag that we got to punch a ton of times, basically, is all I can explain. Now, there are 5 different teams that work very well. I will be showing a SO team, an Infernal team, and a Chaotic team. I actually do not recommend the Chaotic team, but it is still what I will be using. So starting off, we have the Chaos team here. You may notice that I am not using Gretchen. After we beat Twin Fiend, Gretchen actually stopped working. So her giving Rage Regen and crit damage does not work anymore. So don't run Gretchen. Now, I am still running this just for fun. I have Durza in there. I have Carnelian. We need Carnelian to keep us alive, otherwise we die, because keep in mind, the boss does a lot of damage. Count Dracula and Valderon in this team, buffed by Durza, will be the top 2 damage dealers, but I am only running 3 damage dealers, while I could be running 4, right? So my damage will naturally be lower, right? This is still a solid team. I recommend building either Infernal Roar, Cataclysm if you have an exclusive on Valderon, Dracula run Hell's Lament, Carnelian, just Wings of Grace on Durza with an emphasis on attack. And then Sargak is an Infernal Roar. You could do Hells, you could do Kata, right? That is team number 1. The other team is Esotericist. This is a massive single target damage boss, and Esotericist will be the best, specifically the poison comp. So Nastia, Vorn, Numera, you need to have a healer, keep in mind. So I will recommend either Narissa or Desomi or Airless. Any of those work. And then for the final unit, you can run a Celine. Now this needs a bond skill from having Giselle on your account. If you do not have it, don't run Celine. You can build all of these guys in full damage. I recommend Cataclysm, Soulbound, Cataclysm, or Hell's Lament on these guys. And then probably Soulbound on her or Cataclysm, Hell's Lament. And then Airless is in Wings of Grace, once again. Basically, you just need one of these guys because it is a debuff on the boss. And the debuffs are the only thing, really, that are shared between all three of you. So you only need one. And if you already have one, you could run an off faction Wukong or Count Dracula doesn't work because you need Carnelian to run him. But you could run like a Lyra or an Aja, as long as they do okay single target damage, right? Now, something I will mention is Numera, you can actually run two of them, okay? So basically, the poisons are shared throughout everyone. Numera detonates poisons. If you detonate a poison yourself and then your ally detonates a poison immediately after, there won't be many poisons to detonate. You know what I mean? So then she'll lose a lot of damage. If you can get the rages out of sync, then you can actually run two, because by the time the second one gets their ult up, the poisons are already put back, right? So I do think that running two of these is actually the proper thing to do and is meta. We're only aiming for like 4 billion score, which is pretty easy to overshoot if you're a late game player. So I don't think you really need to overcomplicate it. Now, the final team I will be showing off in depth in this video, I cannot speak, I'm so sorry, but it is an Infernal team. I recommend running Sulcanins, Phineas, Violetta. You could try Anai, you could try Lyra. It doesn't really matter too much. But I do think that in the little testing that I've done, Diaochan and Airless is going to be the best for a lot of people. You get that healing and you get that inspiration. And the rest of the Infernals, I feel like, don't do enough damage to justify not running Diaochan. So this is another thing here. Once again, Soulbound, Hell's Lament, Cataclysm, doesn't really matter, right? Just build them the best you can. Then the other two teams you could run a Watcher comp. This is generally what you're going to look for in a Watcher comp. Just as much single target damage as you can. If you need to do a Diaochan because you're missing someone or they're not doing enough damage for you, just slot that in and it's fine. And then the final team is going to be a Nightmare team. Nightmare teams are actually pretty good. Astriel, Twyla, Arrogance, Wukong. I wouldn't really run Kagiri. It's a little hard to detonate him in this content. But just whatever single target damage you can do is what you want to be doing. It doesn't really matter how much damage you do. We're all just trying to help each other beat the boss. Even if you're coming up short, don't worry, okay? Now, once again, Memoriams are incredibly, incredibly goated. So I will be using two people's Memoriams. Here we have Destined. Destined is running the ESO comp that I mentioned and is doing very, very well. And then the other person is IB Mac, who I will be running some runs afterwards. And he is running the Infernal comp that I mentioned. It looks like he's trying Hex out. I recommend Lord Phineas instead, because keep in mind, we do still need one of those ground units, right? And I will have to use my Valderon or my Dracula to fulfill that, right? Because he's running something different. But we're just going to wing it and let it happen. Now, placement-wise, just see where your teammates place, especially if you're using Memoriams, and just place where they're not. So here I'm going to wait for a moment just to see where everyone is placing. Looks like they are on opposite ends there. And I can put down my Dracula. Let's do Valderon here. Let's do Dracula. Let's do Carnelian. Let's do our Durza and then our Sargak right there. And then we can just auto ult. With Carnelian, I don't need to worry about anyone dying really. And we're just going to auto. And what we will generally see is the ESO team doing the most damage, most likely. And I am a little worried about these minions beating the boss, but it should be fine. As you can see, we're already at 1 billion. This is 1,000 purification score. If we get to 4 billion, we get to 4,000, and then it does not go higher than that. We're just trying our best to do whatever we can, right? As you can see, Count Dracula is doing the most damage, one of the better single target damage dealers in the game. The thing is, it's not better than the ESO team, because the ESO team has 4 damage dealers, and 3 of them are really, really, really good, right? So for me, I have 2 absurdly high damage dealers, and then 1 mediocre damage dealer in Sargak, and then I'm missing that 4th damage dealer. And you can see over here on the Infernal comp, the Sulcanins is lower than it should be. Sulcanins usually gets about 600k or 600 mil, 800 mil, something along those lines. But it is still a little bit scuffed because by placing him on this back tile, you're actually going to hit the minions with his ult, which lowers his damage. So that is why his Solgadins is shitting the bed a little bit, because he placed it wrong, because he's a dumbass. Mac, you're a dumbass. Anyways, the Outchan is also in healer form, which is weird. So the Infernal Comp's better than you think, I swear, but this Memoriam is terrible. This Memoriam is so bad. But you can still see, you know, the Esso comp and the Chaotic comp are both pretty good. And I promise you the Solkadin's comp is also good. I've seen 2 billion out of him. We're going to see like 1 bill out of this Memoriam. So either way, just play around with the teammates that you have. Also, the Esso guy, for the first time, has started to die. So everything is going wrong in this. Why is it the second I try to showcase the run and I try to talk about it, it automatically falls apart like crazy? That is so depressing. But regardless, we are still going to get close to 6 billion score, which is way more than we need. And my Count Dracula is actually doing 1 billion damage, which is ridiculous. Anyways, these are the main teams. Like I mentioned, Nightmare is great, Watcher's great. As long as you have single target damage, a healer to keep you alive, and you make sure that you build enough HP to survive, you'll be just fine. As you can see here, this is the damage. This guy here, Dresden, would usually do 2.4 billion because Esocomp is the best. I'm doing pretty high. My gear's pretty good. Keep that in mind. And then the Infernal Comp's always going to be a little lower, but it can go up to like 2 billion, basically. Anyways, that is how you beat Ezareth. Hopefully this helps someone out there with building a team. Keep in mind, it is very simple. Do not overthink it. And if you are not strong enough to do it on your own, just add people who are stronger than you and use their Memoriams. That's what I've been doing. I've been using Cobalts all the time. And it saves you the difficulty of finding people if maybe your friends aren't online or something along those lines. Anyways, let's get this guy down. Final stretch here. And that's it for me. All I wanted to talk about. See you guys later, and Destined signing out.